Wait a second. No way.
Okay, I just blew my own mind. I never in a million years thought that would work.
Hello everybody, welcome to Catherine Sews. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's time to try out more of those crazy TikTok sewing techniques. I've been collecting a bunch of them on Instagram and on TikTok. Some of them look fantastic. Like some of them I really think are going to be a game changer. And some of them just look bonkers. Have you seen the one where they sew on an orange? First of all, I don't know why you'd want to sew on an orange, but the way they do, I just don't think that works. But the first two that I'm going to start with, I think are winners. So the first one I'm going to try is just a real fast looking way of doing a flat felled seam. And it looks beautiful. I think it would only be great for a straight seam. I don't think you could do it on any kind of curved seam at all. But for a straight seam on a flat felled, I think this could be really, really beautiful and quick. So let's just jump right in and try that one out first. So a flat felled seam is like this on a pair of jeans. You often see that. And this one is actually a mock flat felled where it's serged and then turned and stitched down twice. And honestly, that's the way I usually do it because it's way easier than the true flat felled. The true flat felled has that double row of top stitching on the outside and on the inside, and there's no serged edge here. All the edges are tucked in nicely. So it is a little bit tricky to sew in the traditional method. So let's try out this TikTok method. So they start off with the two pieces both right side up, and they overlap them just about the width of their presser foot. Their presser foot is a bit narrower than mine, but I'm going to try it like that. And then they just peek under to make sure their overlap is good. So I can feel where my lower edge is here, so I know my overlap is consistent. Step one is done. And then they just go like that. That doesn't work. Oh, like that. Okay. So you're folding it so that both of your edges are now tucked in. Well, that totally makes sense. Mine's going to be quite wide. You would want a narrower overlap. But you know what? I could trim mine down. Yes, perhaps I'll do that. I'll trim it down. So I'm trimming down both sides. And now it's just like that. That's nice. That is actually great. All right, let's just try this. So this fold is quite simple. So the fold, this edge is getting enclosed on that side, and that edge is getting enclosed on this side. It's kind of perfect so far. Let's see if it is easy to make it look great. Well, that step was easy. Well, that was by far the fastest, most easy, most beautiful flat felled seam I've ever sewn. Both sides are pretty good. So yes, that is a winner. I would totally use that on any straight seam. I adore that. And that was so dead easy, way easier than the traditional method. I'm going to give that a 9 out of 10 because it's so easy and fast for a straight seam. That's a 10 out of 10. But how often do you have just a perfectly straight seam that you're putting together, right? And I just don't see how it would work out well on a curve. So 9 out of 10 on that one. I would not want to try that on a curve. I just don't think that would work. But if I'm wrong and if you've done it, let me know in the comments. So the next one I want to try looks like a beautiful, slick way of doing a zippered pocket, where the zipper is sort of, you kind of create a space behind the fabric for the zipper to poke through, and it looks beautiful. And you know what? I think it works, but somebody in the comments, I noticed somebody said, that's fake, the zipper's on the wrong way. And I get why they're saying that, but I think it actually works. So let's give it a try. She starts off with the zipper right side down and way to the right side of where you want the opening to be. Her presser foot is really narrow. I don't have a little narrow one like that, so I'll switch to my zipper foot so that I can sew right about in the middle of the tabs there. So you're not sewing the whole width of the zipper. You're just doing a little back tack, a little back stitch, the same width as you want the opening to be. So it's not very big at all. So I'm just going to go from this one pin just to the second pin. So just little like that. Nice. Then she flips the zipper over, makes it lay flat, and then she makes a mark on, this is still the right side of the zipper, and then you want the same mark where the opening is going to be. So now I want to bring those two marks face to face, right? So about like that. And again, I want to sew sort of just beside the metal or like halfway along those tabs. And again, just that little stitch that's about the same width as the zipper teeth. A little bit bigger than the teeth maybe. So this is where it looks like it can't possibly be right because the zipper is right side up. Like, how are you supposed to do that? But I think it actually is pretty brilliant. Here's the next little tricky bit, is that now you cut it the same way you would normally cut a welt pocket or a zipper pocket like this, a little Y shape that goes to both of your last stitches, and then straight down the middle to another Y shape at this end, right? So I want to draw a line to connect those. I'm just worried it might be a little tricky to draw it on top of the zipper teeth, but you know what? I might be able to use the zipper teeth as a guide. Oh, actually that works. I can feel the teeth underneath. Oh, that works great. Perfect. Careful when you cut that Y shape. You don't want to cut your stitching, and I don't really want to cut the zipper on the other side. So I'm going to try to push that little zipper tab out of the way and just cut the denim right to that last stitch. Same thing on this side. And with any pocket like this, you have to come frighteningly close to your last stitch, or else you're going to have a little pucker there. Good. So here's where the magic happens. The zipper now can go to the inside. The ends are already neatly tucked in, and now these edges are going to just fold in and get sewn down. But I think I need to go to the iron with that. I just want to press this edge over at the iron, but this denim has a bit of stretch, and I think regardless, I would be sad if I did not interface this. I definitely could have interfaced it first. That I think would be a good little addition to this technique, is interface your piece first. I got a bit excited and didn't. I'll just sneak it in now. Now it's just these edges that we need to fold down, and then you stitch around. I want to make sure it comes out right from my clip, and I don't want that interfacing sticking out and getting on my iron. Okay. I don't know how much easier this is than ways that I've done it in the past. I had a video with 4 different pockets, and one of them had a zipper opening similar to this. I think this is a little bit easier than what I did in that video. It's not magic. You still have to be precise. So here's one thing. Once I sew that down, it's going to be hard to get into that seam allowance to actually sew my pocket bag on. On her video, she doesn't show how she actually attaches the pocket bag. I think it has to be attached before you top stitch that down. Otherwise, I'm just going to have no seam allowance there to be able to sew it to. So, unless you just make that as your opening and you just sewed a pocket piece behind, sort of sewed it down around instead of sewing it to the edges of the zipper. Normally you'd sew one edge here and the other edge there, but I won't be able to do that unless I do it first, and if I do it first, these aren't attached yet. So, okay, I guess I'm just changing the technique, that's all. It's not a lot easier. I'm going to use a zipper foot to sew that on. I'm definitely glad I introduced it, because this would be stretching right now and it would be bigger than the zipper. Down both edges here, I want to catch that triangle. I better move the slider out of my way and just catch that triangle and come down the whole side. So the pocket is a pocket. It's all secure. It looks pretty good on the inside. Okay, but if you do want to top stitch this now, you cannot. Because if I top stitch right here, I'm closing my pocket and I can't push everything out of the way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there was a time where I could have top stitched here. No, right? I had to sew that first from the inside. Otherwise, I would not have been able to attach the pocket bag. But once the pocket bag is on, then it's very hard to top stitch around your zipper. It looks just fine though, with no top stitching. So let's just call that a day. I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10 because this pocket looks pretty nice, but it's not what I was expecting. Okay, so now we're getting into ones that I think I'm pretty skeptical about. Have you seen the ones where they make giant big stitches and they use a bright red thread and then they just pull that thread and it all disappears and looks totally professional? I just don't see that that's going to work out great. I assume that they're using a bright red thread just for demonstration purposes, that you would actually use a matching thread, but I'm going to try it with this bright red thread and see if it works how they say. It's meant for like taking something in, like the back waist or the bottom of a pant leg. I'm going to give it a try. We'll see if that works. I'm highly skeptical.
Here are some sewing tricks lost for 500 years. Once you master them, you won't need a tailor anymore. If your waist is too big, learn this seamless sewing trick. Sew down and up repeatedly, and with the final pull, your waist is resized.
So now let's try some of these sewing tricks that apparently have been lost for 500 years. I just think that's so funny. It's so clickbaity. So they make giant stitches going across and coming down and then back across. You can see I've drawn a line here just like they drew on the one in the video. So on the inside, you've got stitches going up and down, and then on the outside, you'll see them going across. So now, after you get all your stitches like that, now you're just supposed to pull your thread, and it's all going to, oh, actually that looks pretty good. Maybe I like this one. Oh, okay, that's what I wondered. That's frustrating. If you look inside, and this is much more logical, you would just do your fold and do your stitching there on the fold, right? So doing those giant stitches across is not that helpful. Just do your little fold and stitch it, and it's the same thing. And then you're not trying to pull your thread through all of those stitches and your thread's gonna break. Yeah, that's foolish. But it does show less than I expected. I mean, if you used matching thread and did that by hand, maybe you'd be fine. In the comments of that video, somebody said that bulk on the inside would be quite uncomfortable. And I think that they are probably right. It is very thick. And you know what? Because of that thickness though, it's hard to sew that on a machine. One trick you can try is to actually hammer those real bulky areas, like whack it 10 times with a hammer, and it flattens out, like it crushes some of the fibers and it makes it easier, but that's still really, really thick to sew on a machine. So maybe you would want to do that by hand, as long as you're not bothered by that lump of extra fabric inside. So what do we rate that one? 6 out of 10? Okay. That's the exact same thing that they do on the bottom of a pant leg. While it's on, I don't know how that person will get their jeans off, but it's the exact same thing. They make the giant stitches, pull the thread, and so again, I would just say, like, do it from the inside. Don't do it from the outside. I guess that's what it comes down to. Do your sewing from the inside, through both layers. I think it's just silly to do giant stitches across and pull. That's silly.
Here's a similar one to the one on the jeans where they just make big stitches across to shorten the sleeves of a sweater. Let's see if we have any luck with that one.
If your hoodie sleeves are too long, you don't need to cut them. This sewing technique is very practical. Just shorten the sleeves as much as needed and then tighten the thread.
So what they're doing is making a stitch as long as the amount that you want to shorten it by. So if I go up about a thumb width, let's say, and then you come down, you'll see in a second why I think this is so silly. First of all, it's going to take 10 times more thread than if you just sew it properly. Not that this isn't proper, like it is going to work, I think. I just, I don't think it's as magical as the video shows. Whole bunch of these giant stitches. That's probably enough to demonstrate. So you have them like that, and then you pull. Okay, so do you see what I mean? Like, it works, it's just not logical, because look inside. Again, it's just exactly the same as if I just folded it and did a running stitch, right? Why wouldn't you just do that? It's so much more logical. So I'll just continue that way. I'll bring my needle out, and of course you would use smaller stitches and with a matching thread. So I would just kind of do that. That's way easier, more logical, and the exact, it's just not as, you know, magical looking on the video. It just looks like normal sewing that has not been forgotten about for 500 years. And of course you can do that by machine. When you do giant stitches, you're going to see that, like, it's not nice. How they have it on the video is on a hoodie sleeve, and they've got the hem sort of tucked up, and then you don't see the stitches so much. But if, you know, they kind of peek under in the video very quickly, but if you really peek, you're going to see that. So by machine is better, or if you do want to do it by hand, just do way smaller stitches and just do your little fold, how much you want to have it shortened by, and then do your in and out, and you can do about 5 stitches at a time. Like, that's way faster than what they're showing on the video. And what that is essentially is a European hem, where you're not cutting it, right? You're just doing your fold and you're keeping the original hem. When they show shortening your jeans, they're doing it by hand instead of a machine.
If the trousers are too long, you don't need to cut them. Learn this universal sewing method, sew a circle, and if you grow taller, you can unpick it and continue to wear it. This is an invisible way to shorten your trouser legs.
And that works nicely on jeans when you want to use that original hem. And it would work on a hoodie sleeve too. It will be fine, just not in the way they're showing. I would say do your fold, little small stitches, you're good.
And now I want to try the one with the orange.
A small sewing technique that was lost for 30 years. Learn it and never need to go to the tailor again.
I just don't see the mechanics of how that happened. I'm going to try it on the orange just for fun.
I'm going to make my little chain stitch. I don't know why. Okay, no, sewing in orange, that doesn't work. It just tears through the skin. Okay, so vindication. I don't think that worked on an orange.
And then they use the same stitch to lengthen a sweater. Like, they kind of cut off the top of a cute sock and they put that inside a sweater, and they use that same chain stitch that somehow magically disappears and yet still is holding the two pieces together. That's not how a chain stitch works. I really don't see that that's at all possible. But I'm going to try to be open-minded and we'll give it a shot.
2 cut off and used socks and sew them into your sweater with this invisible stitch. This can make the sleeves longer, and you can continue to wear it for another 2 to 3 years.
So it's really cute what they're doing. They're taking a cut-off sock. This isn't a sock. It's actually, I've just got 2 scrap sleeves here. But they're taking a little sock that has the little cute bear. Like, that's a really cute idea, to use a sock to lengthen a sleeve. I love that idea. But the way they're sewing it makes no sense to me. But I am trying to have an open mind, and I'm going to give it a go. So they do a regular chain stitch, right? Put the needle through, wrap the thread around, and pull that through. And they put their needle right back into that loop where the thread's coming out, make another stitch. This is an embroidery stitch. It's quite common. It was not forgotten about for 500 years. It's sort of in the category of normal. So I bring my thread kind of around in a circle, make sure I'm bringing my needle out inside the loop. Think of it logically, like, how are these stitches going to disappear? That doesn't make any sense. And then the funny part is, he says, this can make the sleeves longer and you can continue to wear it for another 2 to 3 years. A very similar video that kind of steals all these ideas and just has a different voiceover says,
And you can use it for another 23 years.
which made me laugh. Like, you can't wear another 24 years because that would be ridiculous. But 23, yes, guaranteed. Okay, anyway, to pull this, you now uncatch that loop, right? And on the orange, this is what they do. They take all those loops off. So what do you think is going to happen when I pull my thread? You think those 2 layers are going to stay together? No, they're not. You pull your thread.
Wait a second. No way.
Okay, I just blew my own mind. I did not know that. Okay, maybe that one was forgotten about for 500 years because I certainly did not know that. How the bloody hell did that just work? I was 100% skeptical. It just did it. Oh my goodness, maybe you can wear this for another 23 years. That is amazing. I just never thought, ever in my life, did I think that that would work. I thought it would just all come right out. Okay, I apologize for ever doubting and calling that video clickbaity. It's actually a flippin' miracle. Okay, so I did a bunch of chains. Take it off here. Undo those. Okay. So I guess those are all just little, like, you know, your needle doesn't go in the exact same spot. So those are just little tiny stitches. And then, oh my goodness, no flipping way. Like, honestly, if I wasn't the one doing this, if you videotaped that and showed me, I would say, no way, you're fibbing. That cannot be. But blinking heck, like, that's unflippin' believable. I never in a million years thought that would work.
Oh my goodness, I had so much fun testing out those techniques and my mind is blown. Most of them were pretty good, right? But they are standard sewing, not forgotten for 30 years or 500 years. But this one, seriously, that I nearly keeled over on that one. I 100% thought my thread was just going to come right out. And it didn't. And it's actually sewn in there really, really nicely. I would not be surprised if in my comments people say, no way, that's fake. But it's not. Like, that's the inside. It looks like a little running stitch. It's a kind of, I guess, a nice way of doing a normal hand-sewn hem in a way, because you're just picking up one thread, but doing it as a chain stitch from the outside, that is a total game changer. My world has been rocked. So I hope you had fun with that one. I certainly did. I had a blast. And until next time on Catherine Sews, you take care. Okay, maybe you can sew on an orange. Oh, still unclear as to why you would sew on an orange.